Hiya, Marty Nemko. For the holidays, I've concocted three short stories, 3 minutes long each. One is where the protagonists are kind of in midlife. The second one in which the protagonists are 90. And the third in which the two protagonists are a boy and a girl around 15. The first one is the midlife one. It's called Sorry, I'm Not Santa. I was an enterprise software sales guy for a third-tier company, far from an Oracle or even an SAP. My boss didn't like my sales numbers, so just before last Christmas he said, "Gotta let you go." I asked, "Can I stay until the end of the year?" He replied, "Sorry, I'm not Santa." I went on unemployment, but it didn't last long enough, and unable to find a job, having been dumped from a third-tier company, after 6 months, I became homeless. My best spot for panhandling was next to Whole Foods. Mainly big spenders shop there. I figured that if I'm going to get decent money, I better use my salesman's glibness. So, for example, I told one woman, "You look too smart to shop at Whole Paycheck." She laughed and dropped $2 at my feet. As a couple went by hand in hand, I said, "I see a future for you two." They gave me $5. When an aging hippie shuffled by, I asked, "Do you know that Whole Foods was owned by a libertarian and sold out to mega Amazon?" That didn't work so well. All I got was the finger. But I had a success that I'm excited to tell you about. I saw a well-dressed man trying to negotiate 3 heavy shopping bags. I ventured, "You look like the kind of guy who deserves an assistant. Can I help you load your car?" He looked skeptical, but he nodded. I wanted to show that I was a cut above the usual homeless person, so I took 2 of the bags, carefully wedged them into the trunk so that they wouldn't fall, politely signaled that I was ready for the 3rd bag, then closed the trunk without slamming it just hard enough, and that worked. The guy must have been impressed because he said, "Would you like to do some weeding for me?" Using my educated tone, I said, "It would be my pleasure, sir." He replied, "Okay, get in." I politely asked, "Would you rather I sit in the front or the back?" I efficiently and thoroughly weeded. He inspected, nodded, and said, "You seem pretty verbal. How'd you like to answer my home phone?" Using the aforementioned affect, I said, "I'd be delighted, sir." Over the next few months, he gave me more and more responsibility and money, and soon he asked me to be his assistant director of sales. He was a cheese importer, with pay higher than when I was in software. Christmas was coming, and my boss was having his annual Christmas party. And he said to me, "The RSVPs are coming in light. Would you like to invite a few people?" They would need to create the right impression. I said I know a few such people, one in particular. So I called my former sales manager, and I lied. I said that I'm a house cleaner for a rich guy who's having a Christmas party, and he asked me to invite a couple people. I thought you might like it. Good food, champagne, and a way to get sales leads. He showed up, and there I was, dressed and acting like the assistant director of sales that I am. I told him my true title and that I lied to him because I didn't want to be a show-off. He said, "Actually, they laid me off. Could you ask your boss if he might consider me for a job?" I said, "Sorry, I'm not Santa." Anyway, that story is called Sorry, I'm Not Santa. The next one is called The Revolt of the 90-Year-Olds. Husband and wife, Aldo and Carmela Giannini, had been the chefs at the Shady Rest home for 20 years. But a corporate entity convinced the owner of Shady Rest to switch. It would save 30%. And the Gianninis cried, and they returned to their family home in Palermo. The first week with the corporate caterer was great. For example, fettuccine alfredo with prawns in honor of the Gianninis. But after the Golden Week, and when the Gianninis were well ensconced back in Italy, the food slowly changed. A typical meal? Soup that we thought had to be Campbell's, beef and bean burrito for the main, and for dessert, Hostess Twinkies. Most of the residents shrugged, but I got a few to agree to go on a hunger strike. Of course, they asked for how long. I don't want to die because of this. I said that I thought it would be short because I would tell the owner that if he didn't bring the Gianninis back, I would go to the media. I could see the headline now. Scrooge fires beloved chefs at senior home, from Scallopini to Sloppy Joe. It took exactly one meal before the owner asked the Gianninis back with a 10% raise and their job for life. They said no, but the owner, knowing how emotional the Gianninis were, said, "The residents would so love for you to make them their Christmas and New Year's dinners. They aren't going to have many more holidays, you know." And that moved the Gianninis. I am writing to you as we finished our Italian garnished Christmas dinner, turkey, moist turkey, with all the trimmings, and for dessert, tiramisu. In any event, that's called The Revolt of the 90-Year-Olds, and the final story that I'd like to read for you is The Sugar Plum Fairy and Me. I've never fit in. Most kids are louder than I am, and I don't like school, and most of it is too easy, and worse, some of it makes me feel bad about who I am. So I hide a lot. I read, watch TV, and most of all, play the piano, classical piano. Playing Beethoven, Chopin, even Christmas carols by ear feel more like me. My favorite thing is to go to rehearsals at the Kennedy Center. Some are free. The janitor there, who also likes to watch rehearsals, got to know me a little, and I told him I play the piano. So after rehearsals, when there was a piano on stage, he sometimes lets me play a little. And the last time, because Christmas is coming up, I played Silent Night. Today, I was especially excited about going. It was the dress rehearsal for the Nutcracker, which opens tomorrow. As pre-show, that's the half hour while the audience is coming in, instead of piped music, they're having a harpsichordist. So the rehearsal started with her playing O Holy Night on the harpsichord, but when she got to the loud part, we heard a crack. A key had broken. I guess harpsichords are fragile. She stopped playing and told a man who was sitting with a clipboard in the second row of the mainly empty auditorium that she couldn't go on, but she would get another harpsichord for tomorrow's performance. The janitor got up and whispered something to the man, who then said, "Kid, you there, would you do me a favor and play just a minute of some Christmas song so we can practice transition to the ballet? Don't worry about the broken key, just play." I was scared. But how could I turn down the chance to play at the Kennedy Center, even just at a rehearsal? So I crept up on stage. All the dancers were standing around chatting. I sat down at the harpsichord, took a deep breath, started to play Silent Night, and everyone got quiet. I guess they didn't think I was too terrible. I was sure the man would stop me after just a few seconds, but he didn't. He let me play it all the way through. And then everyone, all the dancers, the janitor, even the man, applauded. I felt embarrassed. I hurried down the stairs and back to my seat, where I felt comfortable next to the janitor. He looked me in the eye, put his arm on my shoulder, and he got a little teary. After the rehearsal, I started to walk out, but one of the dancers, the Sugar Plum Fairy, came running after me and said the best words I've ever heard in my life. "You were so brave. Amazing." I didn't know what to say. All I could think of was, "Would you like to go out for ice cream?" She smiled and took my hand. Anyway, that story is called The Sugar Plum Fairy. I hope you like those holiday stories. I am Marty Nemko.